Hey man, good morning. Hope all's going well for you. Got your stuff down. Everything is looking good. You can see here that your training stress balance right now is -5, which is pretty darn good. It's I'd say right in the right range. Even if it was down to like 0, I think we would be good. 0 to -5. I wouldn't want it any much heavier than that, especially because we're kind of at the end of your season, and basically we're waiting to get your off season started. So we're just kind of right now we're really taking advantage of a lot of the good weather and the outdoor riding, and then we'll get you indoors once the cold and the dark starts. So anyway, let's take a look at some of your other stuff here. You can see if we look at the calendar, if I go here to Mark's week, notice here you'll see your MFTP holding very well. It went down by literally 1 watt, but still over 300. You're way high, so that's great. And you had some big rides here, a 90-minute ride here, almost a 90-minute ride on, I think that's Saturday. So, and the training stress scores, there's a good high one there, two good days in a row here. And then a little bit of recovery, and then 78 and 115 there. That's awesome. I think that was the day you and Russ were working together. So that's really cool. I'm glad to see it. It's good to see. And I went through your stuff already, and I'm seeing good, tempo and endurance style riding, and that's exactly what we want this time of year. So go over here, take a look at your week. You can see your training stress balance. It came up here, which was good, like right after your day off, and came down to stayed in the positives. You can see this line here is where it stays positive. That's your 0 mark, and then stayed completely 0 there, and then went down on the heavy day. So you can see this big hit on the weekend, which is just what we want. Ideally, it would be awesome to be able to take the weekends and use those as a lot of super strong base building and some climbing, those kind of things. And you can tell that we're very close. I have assigned your FTP is 320 watts, and it has you right now at like 318. So your MFTP. So what I have assigned and what the software thinks you have are almost identical. So that's really cool. Let's take a look at, actually, you know what? Let's back it out here. Let me go back to your calendar. Let's go down here to the last 90 days. You can see, we'll start with the last 30. So your acute training load is coming up, and this is that big weekend again here, this area here. So I wouldn't want it much steeper than that. If it was coming up like this, that would be too much. But this is just about right, almost like a 45-degree angle is about. That's kind of the limit. What I like to see as far as your training stress balance goes. So that's good to. I mean your acute training load. Sorry, not training stress balance. That's very good there, and you can see here that it's showing your training stress balance coming back down under 0, which is kind of what we want. We want that. We want to sort of work the engine, build the motor. This is the time to start kind of building the motor. So okay, so let's go back to 90 days. So here you were kind of trending down, and it's kind of funny because when you're racing, a lot of times, especially TTs, and it's not like 3-day stage races or whatever, your acute training load will go down. It's just because you've got to rest for those races, and you've got to stay tapered for it. So when you have areas like this, you need this kind of high area over here to kind of backfill that. So, which is what we've done. We did all of our work here and got you into some recovery here so you could race well. And then now it's time to kind of bring your stress back up, and so that's awesome. Okay, so let's take a look here. We have weekly. If let me just go back to the last 30 days. So you can see here, you did there's quite a bit of climbing there, 3,600 feet. So that's better than, let's see if I go back 90 days, that's what better than you've done all summer. So that's really good. So there was a lot of outdoor, getting after it. Those things are they're great. One thing I like about climbing is, and kind of going up hills and stuff, is that you can really focus on just your pedal stroke and your efficiency, and you don't have to worry so much about cars and people jumping in front of you and those kind of things. So, and generally, you're going slow enough that cars will leave you alone too. Um, okay, so then our 20-minute peak, 245, which is good. I like to see it come down a little bit because I want that endurance. I want that tempo work, and I don't want you to focus too much on there. But if we go over here to time and zones, let me get this out of the way here. You'll see that you're still getting plenty in the anaerobic side and the VO2 max and threshold. So these three areas here, if you were to look at some of the other guys I coach, they're at this time of year, their anaerobic is just kind of a sliver, and the VO2 max is about half of that, and threshold. So you're still getting plenty of good high-end work here, and it'll be good. It'll be good to have a few weeks off for the off season and kind of start building the base and everything else. Okay, so that's that. Let me see what else have I missed here. Time and zones, we got that. You can see what your heart rate distribution has been. So if we just look at your week compared, you can see that kind of the cool thing about showing a video is you see what I see. So I can see over the last 30 days, you were more in the in these zones in here, kind of the endurance and tempo. But if you compare that to this week, you'll see it kind of jump up. You actually had more heart rate in these more tempo ranges. And that's because, when you're not doing intervals or those kind of things, or tons and tons of intervals, you're not having to spend a lot of time recovering in between the sets. So it's pretty cool. And then as far as like power goes, let me scroll up here a little ways. You can see that, look, we're still getting, this is kind of the meat range here, the 280 to 320 zones. Everything is looking brilliant there. Good power in these ranges here. If you were to look at mine, I don't think I would be so high right now. So that's good. And then as far as like weekly time and distance, if I go your last 30 days, look at that. You see, there's that week. Your time and distance is up. And so again, what we're doing is we're replacing intensity with volume. So we're bringing your volume of cycling up, to 90 minutes of free choice during Saturday and Sunday. And what those do is, they let you just go out and ride once, and not have to just, completely suffer and fall off your bike when you're done. And it allows for, there's a lot of things that go on a sort of a microcell level with your muscles. You're basically building that kind of that base that we want to begin building back up again, starting after the off season ends. So training stress, you can see that 113-day thing here was a pretty good peak, and probably over 90 days, you can see it's been a while since you had a training stress day that high. The good thing is that training stress was coming from endurance and tempo, and not so much, VO2 max, just killing yourself kind of stuff. So let's get down into your rides per day here. Let's see, we still have, I'm just going to go here to Mark's week, and we'll start here with Monday. That's an hour and 12-minute ride, 0.7 intensity factor, so very good. So basically that intensity factor means that you're riding at 70% of what your threshold is. So, that's overall, that's pretty darn good. And you can see here, if I say, for example, if I tell it to track your heart rate, and I kind of you can see over here on the left where it's giving me the number wherever my mouse is. You're 108, and then after a good warm up, you were 123. Tempo, very good. Your cadence has stayed relatively high, over 80, which is great. Really good for endurance. You know, I was talking with Jonathan Vaughters a while ago, and he said that he would have uh, a lot of meeting. Or sorry, I just got that email. I'm off today, but Jonathan Vaughters would spend he would go out and ride almost 90 minutes. Everything had to be over like 100 cadence or something like that, just to really spin his legs out. He said that those were really beneficial, and this is almost what it looks like you're doing here. Very happy with that. Then you brought your cadence down. The cadence is all in green, by the way. And as I'm tracking your heart rate here, 125, 123, that is endurance and slight tempo. So this is just what we want, and we're still getting a zero point 0.7 intensity factor. So you're getting what you need out of this stuff without thrashing yourself. And hopefully what that's doing too is it's helping your knee. And I see again that these are all outdoor rides, which is great. Okay, and then I'm not going to look at 20-minute peak because I don't want you to be worried about it, but a lot of times what I will do is just see where your peak power was and not worry so much about what how many watts that was, but I just want to make sure that when you're doing that is in the right time of the workout, which to me would be any time between maybe like the 10 or 15-minute mark and sort of the very end. So everything's going good there. You had Tuesday off. There's Wednesday, another 0.74, and you can see here we are again outdoors, dude. You're doing awesome, keeping these outdoors, which is killer. 146 looks to be your first peak, 150, and then over here you had a good zone with 153, and you can see as I track my mouse across here, you can see where on the road you were. As far as elevation goes, it looks like it's relatively flat. 400-foot drop. That's fairly good over the course of the ride. And let's see here. And so cadence is staying pretty good here. I like to see a lot of this high cadence stuff over the especially during the off season. I think that's really good. We worked with Russ on that a lot, and that's how Russ built up a lot of his power a couple of years ago. And I think we'll focus on that again too. So that's a good ride. Where was your peak power? There's your 20-second power. Let's take a look. Yeah, so that looks great. Very good. Thursday, 0.68 intensity factor, almost an hour. You found a good. You look like those rides look like the ones I do around Mile High Stadium. They're boring, they're crazy, but it's a good way to just get out and do it. Let's see here. Heart rate tracking good. Everything. All of this is good tempo. So again, we're not trying to just destroy you every workout. Here is Friday. Friday looks good. Looks to be an indoor ride. I can just tell by the, but obviously there's no elevation there. So just had to close my email so the messages don't pop up and bother you. So let's see. Good warm up here. We're still tracking heart rate here. So good warm up, and then everything back in. I'm really hoping that you're enjoying these rides a little bit more. And this time of year is kind of the time of year to rediscover why you love cycling. Because the pressure's off. So this is a good recovery day before these two hard days here, the Saturday and the Sunday ride. So here's a good 22-mile. Let me see if I can make your just get a better idea of the elevation here. So here's your climb, and these are good. Let's see here. What was your elevation gain over the course of the ride? See if I can figure that out. I'd have to figure it out, but you're getting a lot of You're getting a lot of a good varied heart rate here. Again, nice high cadence. Everything's pretty happy here. Temperature 77, so you guys aren't roasting. This is just a good long ride. This is awesome. You had your warm up here. Looks like you. This is generally. I'm used to seeing this from you. These blocks, and I think you're just kind of stretching out and getting loosened up before you really start your main ride. So that's good. Hopefully, this is a good course for you, and it's something that you can do pretty easy. And we go here to Sunday. Another hour and 30 minutes, 0.85. So that's cool. Intensity factor, and that's good for 113 training stress points. So nearly a training stress, like 1.3, or actually like 0.8 training stress points per minute here. Actually, I'm going to pause this and calculate that real quick. Hold on a second. Yeah, my guesstimate was pretty right. I said 0.83. You were actually 0.79 training stress points per minute on this ride. So that's really good. So, when you're getting close to an hour, that's a big deal. And I think Russ was saying it was a little bit colder that day. The temperature here got down into the 60s as you were hitting the bottom there. So it started, I guess, just kind of watch, so you don't get too chilled or anything. Make sure you bring jackets and all the normal stuff that we always have to pay attention to. Good repeats here, man. Awesome. 162. So this is your hard work during the week. You can see there's another 167 heart rate. If we go over here, let's see. Oh, a little bit better. So this is your main work in this area over here, and this is kind of a backfill, and that's exactly what I like to see. I like to see the good hard work here, and then being backfilled with this kind of stuff here. And notice, let's see here, if I track this down, it doesn't take long before your heart rate goes down to underneath 130, which is perfect. And at the bottom of that hill, you were down to 122, and as you worked your way back up, you didn't explode or blow up or anything, so that's really good. And here, yeah, that might have been a pause. And if I just track your power, everything's looking good. Let's take a look at your peaks. So if I go here, let's take a look at your peak 10-minute power right here at the start, which is good. I'm liking that. Let's see what that was. If I go to ride summary here, I can see. So 267, excellent. And your average heart rate was only 141, which is killer. Love it. And let's stretch that out. Look at your 20-minute peak. So then your 20-minute peak was shifted over a little bit, right in the meat of the workout again, man. So I'm loving it. Excellent. Can't ask for better than that. And so we're even then with the downhills and everything else, we're 262 for your power down here. You can see that. 262, and your average heart rate for that section was 145. If I unclick on that, let me just go back to here, and if I just highlight a zone I know I'm going to be happy with, like something like that, I can see there that as you're doing that climb, your average power, getting a little recovery there. Hold on a second. Let me get this zone right here. This would be pretty good here. So if I look at that selection there, we're seeing average power 118. 218. Yeah, sorry, I thought I was misreading that. That said 118. That's really good. 115 at 136 heart rate. Great day. Really good day. Perfect. And so let me pause this and let me pull up your workouts for the week just so you can see what we're kind of looking at here. Hang on one second. Okay, so this is your week. Again, this is going to be similar. We'll give you today's Tuesday. We'll give it off for you, but another 60-minute ride after 10-minute warm-up. Do 3 15-minute sets at 220. So that 220 range is very comfortable for you, so it shouldn't be stressing your knee out, and I want lots of recovery in between, but make sure we keep you right around 220 watts. That's probably the best way to do it. And that way we're, you're kind of getting the high-end stuff. I've got more big stuff planned for you for the weekend as long as the weather holds. Would be awesome here. Like I said, if you could ride hills or do some of that, I think that's really good for your core. And we'll make an hour and a half free choice. But in that, on Sunday, I was saying make sure you get a 15-minute block of tempo somewhere in there. So really not asking a whole lot, but that we can start. We just want to have 15 minutes of some kind of intensity in there. And then here for Friday, just says if you're going to be riding hills, make sure that it's for an hour, and maybe just an hour of tempo. That might even be too high. I want you spinned out and ready to go for the weekend. So Friday can be a nice, easy, relaxing day. Maybe I don't have the amount of time there, but I'd say 45 minutes to an hour, something like that. I mean, you can see if we go back over here to your, and I don't think did we talk about that, what your training stress for the week was? We probably didn't. And we should anyway. So if I go, just find it here. For the week, you were 386, so that's great. If we can be anywhere near 300, I think we're gonna have a great week. So. So this last week might have been a little bit heavy, but this week here should be pretty good. And so we'll do off. And here, notice here in the red, and I'll have a printout of this so you can see it a little bit better. But we're gonna have you spin out Monday, and then I'm gonna start having you get ready for doing a little bit of weights here. You can see, I think on probably sometime right around the 9th or 10th, we'll have you start in on those the weight program that Russ is going to be looking at. And again, I think there's going to be some exercises in that weight program that you won't have access to those weights, but what we can do is we can replace those with any kind of isometric. That's what I do. I don't have access to weights, so everything I do is pretty much isometric, meaning push-ups, sit-ups, planks, the stationary, like the what are those called? Isometric squats, those kind of things where you basically hold the squat position or whatever. So we can make all of that work. And I thought it would be good to just start introducing some of those isometric exercises into your routine just to get you ready for a little bit more intensity here. So we'll start that. And that might only be, I probably only want about 10 or 15 minutes of that to begin with. So, I don't want you blown out and sore so you can't do anything. So we're just going to start introducing these exercises here at the beginning of October, and then we'll give you 2 to 3 weeks to really progress into that. And of course, we're going to be doing the riding as well. So we're going to use this as a way to augment your cycling, and it was really good. Actually, one of the years that I raced the fastest and produced the highest watts was the year that I was really focused on isometric squatting, and that was it was a big deal. So what I would be doing in the middle of a set, I would do a really hard set on the bike, and I would get off and I would take just some dumbbells. I went and bought a couple of like 25-pound dumbbells, and I would just hold them and I would squat and hold that squat for 90 seconds and get off, and then I would give myself 30 seconds to spin out on the bike and then right back into like the next FTP. It was brutal, but man, did it build up quad strength, and it built up core, and it was just it was definitely, I think it was probably one of the most beneficial things I did, and I think you're ready to do that for the year. So let's see, easy spin, and I think the rest of these, that Wednesday again, we're really backing away from the even the sub LTs at this point, because I just really want to give yourself a chance. You saw how on Sunday you had some 160 heart rate. So if we're getting in some of that stuff, we don't have to worry so much about doing the full FTP workouts. Those are for the preseason and during the race season. So anyway, I think everything's good. You're looking great, man. I'm glad to see the weather holding and hopefully your knees slowly coming back here. And we'll maybe. I think you were planning on starting your off season somewhere around the beginning of October. We will need to. We'll need to talk about that. So maybe it is actually here in October, but I think we can, if you want to do that, we can definitely stick with the isometric exercises and get you ready to go there, and give you something to kind of keep you loose as your off season doesn't mean anything other than just taking a break from the bike and letting things heal up. But there's no reason why push-ups and sit-ups and those kind of things would not make you faster and help you just feel better during the day. You don't want to be a slug and not do anything. So anyway, man, love you. Just doing great. Really happy about how everything's looking here. You are rocking it, and very happy with everything I'm seeing. So if you have any questions, give me a holler, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks.